Genghis Khan, often called the Khan of the Burned Earth, led a nomadic army that didn't just conquer places, it completely destroyed them. Wherever they went, they didn't just win battles, they wiped everything out. They killed all the men and the elderly. No mercy, no second chances, no hesitation. It wasn't just once or twice, this was how they always did it. But the young women and girls, they were usually not killed. Instead, they were taken, dragged away from their burning homes, torn from cradles stained with blood, ripped out of the arms of their dead fathers. Just so you understand clearly, if enemy soldiers surrendered, they were not always killed. They were taken in, accepted into the Mongol army, not because of kindness, but because they were useful. Genghis Khan didn't waste good fighters. He fed the beast of war with them. He followed the laws of Yasa with full devotion. But don't be fooled. These laws were born from violence and fear. Still, in all this terror, Genghis Khan somehow gained a strange kind of respect. Even his enemies, whose families had just been destroyed, ended up serving him. Yes, really, they joined him. They saw him as a powerful, fair leader. People of the Great Steppe spoke his name in whispers, with fear and respect mixed together. They said he was generous, even kind, a man who would give away his own things to help someone in need. And maybe, just maybe, Genghis Khan truly believed in what he was building, a world shaped by war, but ruled by order. This man, Genghis Khan, had incredible leadership skills. He didn't just lead well, he built a system where his people thrived and his army stayed under tight control. Everything worked like a machine, no feelings, no wasted time, only strict order and cold discipline. Yes, it's true, there was some meritocracy in his empire. That means people could rise by skill, not just birth. But don't let that word trick you into thinking things were fair. This wasn't about justice, it was about efficiency. Many don't know this, but historians have found something surprising. Women were part of the Mongol army, not just as concubines, not just as toys. Real warriors, women trained for brutal battle and the blood that came with it. European women, with their pale skin and foreign beauty, were especially valued by the Mongols. If they were beautiful, they had a better chance to live. But living didn't mean peace. There was no love, no safety, only the slow, terrifying pain of being owned, of waking every day under the watchful eyes of their captors. Still, it was better than the alternative: mockery, torture, and death. After the city of Goran, capital of the Asian Empire, fell to the Mongols, the end didn't come like a storm. It came like a knife to the throat. The once powerful woman Turk and Khatan, who ruled over nations, was dragged away, her whole family broken. Her relatives were put in chains. Her children, royal children of the dynasty, were killed quickly. No heirs, no future, just silence. The women of the royal harem, given away like trinkets, handed to Mongol commanders as wives. But that word didn't mean love. It meant ownership. And the Shaheen, the head woman of the palace, her fate was terrifying. She and many noble men from Khwarezm were forced into a slave caravan, taken to Karakoram, the Mongol capital. They weren't guests. They were tribute, living gifts meant to serve the great Khan's court. The concubines, women forced into this life, were everywhere. It wasn't rare, it was normal. Mongol warriors saw taking captive women as a sign of power, a reward, a symbol that they had shed enough blood to earn a prize. And remember this, the Mongols didn't value European women for who they were. They valued them for how they looked, for the way their skin shined by torchlight, for the sound of their cries when the door closed. The Mongols saw captured women as more than just spoils of war. To them, these women were trophies of blood and victory, living proof that they had won. Every raid wasn't just about taking land. It was a ritual, a message sent to the world. We are stronger, we are unstoppable. In their eyes, if a man couldn't protect his wife or daughter, then he didn't deserve to live. That's how cruel and extreme their thinking was. Concubines were supposed to obey without question, to serve their masters in silence. But even in this cruel system, a few women rose above. A few found power. One of the most famous examples is Dorajine, the wife of Genghis Khan's third son, Ogodei. She wasn't European, but she had been a captive, taken into the Mongol world. When her husband died, Dorajine, once just a captive woman, became a true leader. She ruled over Mongolia for 4 full years, from 1246 to 1248. That was a rare thing. But for every Dorajine, there were thousands of silent victims. Countless women never even made it to the harem. Their lives ended in agony before they were even labeled concubines. After the Mongols took over towns and villages, a terrible wave of violence swept through. People screamed, the ground was soaked in blood, innocent women and girls were tortured, mutilated, and ripped apart. Many were killed on the spot. Some, knowing what was coming, took their own lives to avoid what lay ahead. And when the killing was done, when the fires died and the air stank of war, young women were handed out like prizes, a reward for bravery, a gift to the warriors. They called it letting them enjoy themselves. But there was no joy in what those women suffered. Sadly, this way of thinking about women was common during the Mongol conquests. And if a girl had European features, she was seen as even more valuable, a reward for a brave warrior. With death always around the corner and no promise of tomorrow, warriors often took what they wanted without hesitation. They lived in the moment. The present was all that mattered. Sometimes a woman didn't die right away. Some survived the first wave of violence. But survival didn't mean safety. They were dragged along with the Mongol caravans like animals, treated like property. If they weren't beautiful enough or too injured to be useful, they were often left behind, tossed aside as worthless. Some were abandoned in the freezing steppe, left to die alone, without a name, without food or warmth. But not every Mongol was a monster. Some warriors tried to show respect for women. Some didn't want to hurt anyone. But sadly, the bloody truth was more common than the rare kindnesses. The cruel acts outnumbered the merciful ones, and the few good men didn't change the overall horror. Among warriors, it became common to offer beautiful captives as gifts to their commanders. These were gifts made of skin and sorrow, traded like treasure. The Mongols were also practical. They didn't destroy everything. If a person, building, or object could bring money or power, they kept it. That included women. And what happened to those who ended up in Genghis Khan's harem says a lot about that time. Genghis Khan had 4 official wives, but beyond them, some sources say he had over 7,000 concubines. That's right, more than 7,000 women kept for his personal use. His fame wasn't just about his skills in war, it also came from his reputation in the bedroom, a reputation that shocked the world. After each victory, the most stunning girls would be brought before him, a twisted ritual of presentation and ownership, a dark celebration of conquest. After every battle, Genghis Khan would choose what to do with the most beautiful women brought before him. Sometimes he would give them away to his loyal warlords as gifts, rewards for their loyalty and bravery. Other times, he would keep them for himself, adding them to his harem. Women seen as precious property, not people. These women were branded, veiled, and stripped of their voices. They had no say in their lives. While they were not tortured or abused as official policy, that wasn't because of kindness. It was because they were valuable assets and had to be kept healthy and presentable. They were given plenty of food, encouraged to stay clean, and taught how to play music or learn other skills. If a woman had a useful talent, it was used. Her survival depended on how useful or beautiful she was. Now let's turn to a particularly strange and unsettling story, one from China. According to Chinese General Meng Hong, during a diplomatic trip to the Mongol Empire, a Chinese messenger was invited to a great feast with Genghis Khan himself. To the messenger's surprise, he was seated beside the Khan's wife, Princess Liman, and 8 concubines. What shocked the Chinese envoy even more was that these women were not treated like prisoners or slaves. They were called ladies. Every meal, they sat at the table as part of the royal company. Their beauty was striking, their skin was fair and flawless, and their presence felt more like courtiers than captives. But this respect was only for the most beautiful and talented women. If you had the right face, the right skills, the right grace, you might be treated with a bit of dignity. Still, it was a dignity stolen from freedom. It's hard to believe that even as prisoners of war, women were called ladies, picked and prized like fruit from a conquered tree. But this was the reality of that time. Society expected it. The world accepted it. During the reign of Genghis Khan, there was even a special group of 20 young women musicians who traveled with him on his military campaigns. Their job, to play music while he marched, providing a soft melody behind the bloodshed. Genghis Khan, for all his violence, had a deep love for music. He was a complex man, a warlord with a thirst for conquest and a hunger for beauty and art. And often, after defeating a rival kingdom, the wives of defeated kings and lords were taken into his harem. No exceptions. Their noble blood didn't protect them. There's even a chilling story passed down from one of his closest companions. He once told his friend what he believed to be the greatest pleasure in life. The best joy for a man, he said, is to defeat his enemies, to drive them before him, to take all they own, to watch their loved ones weep, to ride their horses, and to hold their daughters and wives in his arms. This mindset, That concubines were rewards, not people, wasn't rare. It was normal for rulers like Genghis Khan, or many female prisoners. Ending up in the harem of a powerful leader was actually seen as a better fate than most. As horrible as it sounds, being taken by a Khan could mean survival, and even a bit of protection. There's an interesting story about one Khan who had a prophetic dream. After this dream, he decided to give away one of his concubines. What's strange is that he felt the need to explain why, as if this act, giving away a woman, needed a reason. It shows something about how women were treated during Genghis Khan's time. They were not equals, but sometimes treated with a certain level of respect, at least when it suited the man in power. But there was one thing that even the most beautiful concubine could not get away with: being unfaithful. Whether she was caught in an affair with a man of high rank or a lowly servant, it didn't matter. Unfaithfulness meant death. The Khan saw his concubines as his property, and he was known to be extremely possessive and protective of them. One powerful story shows this possessiveness clearly. Genghis Khan had a deep obsession with a woman named Kulan from the Market clan. He was introduced to her by a trusted associate named Na, but something happened that nearly caused a disaster. While bringing Kulan to the Khan, Na became worried about the behavior of other soldiers, perhaps fearing they might harm or mistreat her. So he decided to keep Kulan safely at his house for 3 days before continuing the journey. When Genghis Khan found out, he was furious. He believed Na had touched what was his. He ordered Na to be executed. But Kulan, incredibly brave, stood up for Na. She explained that Na had noble blood and had only protected her from danger. She begged for his life. She said something powerful. Because of jealous warriors, Na chose to let us stay in his home. I don't know what would have happened if he hadn't helped us. Please don't torture him. And if the Khan shows me mercy, I only ask that he prove my innocence. This moment captures so many of the ideas we've already explored: the possession of women, the danger of disobedience, and the rare acts of courage from women who had no real power. Because here's the truth: if a female captive was not lucky enough to become a concubine to a Mongol leader or the Khan himself, she was often given to the ordinary soldiers, the rough, rowdy warriors who didn't care for formality or restraint. In that world, her life would be filled with pain, used for entertainment, a word that covered up cruelty and abuse. And when the warriors were finished with her, her story usually ended in tragedy. Some women didn't survive what they were put through. Others, unable to live with the pain, took their own lives. Whether by the hands of others or by their own desperate choice, the end was often the same: silence. Their names were forgotten, their stories left untold. If you found this video powerful and eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe. If you're addicted to the dark and hidden sides of history, you're in the right place.